Happy Sunday. I hope everybody's well. I expect you to be. Um, we've just continued our first community bowling gathering, and we gave away some books today at the AMF bowling lanes today. And also this Wednesday at the Wyndham Wingate on Mills Road off of FM 1960. Join us for a time of discussion, especially for those who are serious about walking and recovering their purpose and destiny and discovering and themselves and living their greatest life. It's not a matter of coming to a meeting to get prophesied to per se, but those who are serious about living their masterful life and existence. Join us this Wednesday at 7:30 at the Wyndham Wingate off of FM 1960 in Mills Road. It's going to be really exciting, okay? I want to talk about the power of continuity. This is not a message per se, it's a reminder. Let me hear you say reminder. It's really a reminder of how important it is to constantly look at the big picture. I think life is funny because I believe the thorns or the cares of life and living is actually hindering us from maintaining a proper perspective of the big picture of who we are. I think bills and relationships and bills and jobs and situations with our kids and with our friends, and they stop us, they distract us, they hinder us. We want to do better, we want to do it, and we don't. I think it stops us. It stops us from maintaining a positive perspective of the big picture and walking in continuity at who we are, why we are, and where we're going. That's right, our focus wavers, and it's like that's our biggest enemy is our lack of focus. And I think our focus lack because I don't think we feel the things that we're focusing on are really powerful. I think when something is powerful, it will hold your attention. Instead of you putting a lot of energy in holding the attention, I think when something is fully believed in and it's powerful, it has the power to hold your focus. It holds you. It causes you to look at it. And I think a lot of things in our life have lost its substance. I think we know some of the things we have that were once exciting have now just turned into rhetoric. And it's something we know. And I think we sit it down and we go and look at other things. And then when what we once knew is trending again, we sort of go back to what's trending. I think some of us are trending type of people. Whatever is in at the time. You could even see on the news, whenever something is in at the time, there we go. If we're talking about this person, there we go. When Prince died, there we were. When Michael Jackson died, there we go. It's like our lives follow the trend instead of us maintaining the focus of what we've been looking at and where we're going. And I think in life, if we know where we're going, and we put some intention on it, it's going to put some intention on us, and it's going to, and it's going to hold our attention. I think most of us need to discover something, not only that we're in love with, but something that's in love with us, and it's going to hold our attention, and therefore our decisions will constantly be made according to the purpose that we're living in. How many of you are making constant decisions based on the destiny or the purpose of God that's holding your attention? Yeah, I see what you're saying, Sandra. Yeah, see, I think we know a lot of things, but it's probably not holding us to the point where we're making decisions. It's like some of us will start off going in that direction, and before you know it, we get thrown and we get scattered. And then when a new opportunity comes, we make new plans to give us permission to go into that new plan. Instead of knowing this is where my life is going, whether things are going good or not so good, this is the plan of God for me. And I think a lot of times we change the plan based on the lack of patience, based on how we feel at that season. And if we don't feel good in this season, we change it to accommodate another feel good instead of knowing this is the plan. How many of you have a plan from God in your heart and you are locked into the plan? You're not just locked into the feel-goodiness of the elements, but you're locked into the unfolding of the plan. And what happens, it keeps you disciplined and focused where you finish. You're finishing your work in that season. I just don't have a plan for the future that's going to make me rich, but I'm working my plan. I'm working the discipline. That's the power of continuity. And sometimes we don't continue in the faith. We continue in the religiosity. We continue in, I know God is this and that. But we're talking about continuing in the flow, continuing in the evidence of the plan, and in the up and down of the plan, in the discipline and the process of the plan, without trying to accelerate it and go to the next thing, but finish it. And I think it will secure us. Because sometimes we can be in the midst of a plan, in the midst of the hand of God, and then we sort of lose our intensity or our intention with the plan. And then we want another one. And then when the next one comes, we don't know if it's God or us. And sometimes we're caught in torment because we don't know whether or not we can move forward or not. See, that's the biggest issue sometimes of failing in your continuity. It's you don't know if it's you going forth or is it God inviting me. How many of you know the difference between you and God? Between is God and myself? Have we become so one that when I see a new movement, I know that this is God? And sometimes because we don't know, we struggle because we're living not knowing what's being said or what's done. Look at the plan. Look at what's going on. A lot of things are moving around for you guys and turning around. How sure are you right now? Do you feel that you're stronger than the elements that are trying to decide your fate? Because some of you are in situations right now, your fate is being decided by someone else. And even though you say, I know God is in control, do you know that God has already decided for you? How many of you actually feel that your life is being controlled by someone else's decision? Or do you actually feel, I know that God has this because I've been following the plan? When you've been walking with God constantly, you know where He is. We only fear what God may do when there's been a traffic jam somewhere and we've lost connectivity with God. Look, if you're walking with God constantly, if God stops, you stop. If He continues, you continue. So when you say, I don't know what He's going to do, did you allow God to walk ahead of you to the point where you got used to Him walking ahead of you and you sort of lost your place? Because now y'all are not walking as one, but you've allowed the spirit of wisdom to go ahead of you. What made you stop and allow wisdom to move miles ahead of you to the point where you don't know what's going to happen? How many of you understand what I'm saying? What have you been focusing on where you allowed wisdom to walk ahead of you to the point where you don't know what he's doing? Yes, what I'm saying, no, you've turned your focus somewhere else. So whenever there is something greater than your focus with God, whatever it is that turns you from God has become the new God. So what in your life, what's become the new God to you? To the point where God's wisdom has gone ahead and you stayed behind. What is the new God to you? And that's what happens when we get caught with the new God and we have no answers. Continuity. What are we looking at in our life, really? What's getting our attention? It seems like life has a way of throwing a lot of things, and it grabs us, and we get thrown. What is that all about? Before I go, how many of you feel that you are where God is right now? Look at what I'm asking. That's true, Sandra. Do you feel that you and God are together right now? If so, what's going on? What's happening with God right now? This will let you know if you've been continuing in the flow. Yeah, I'm where God wants me. Yeah, because wherever God wants you, he's there. So those of you who are watching, what's God doing right now? What is God doing in this moment? Because y'all should be together. And sometimes when we're not together, we don't know. Because somewhere we walked off. We walked off thinking about God, but we sort of walked off. We walked away. Something else caught us. Or we were truly never in the beginning. Because if you're really in love with something, how are you going to let it go? And how do you lose focus of something that you really, really want? And I think continuity has a way of exposing the degree of want we have for God and his wisdom and his life. Did we really, really want it? Or do we treat it like car insurance? You really just have it and you have to pay the bill every month. He's revealing the talk from the being. Yeah. What is he doing right now? What is God doing right now since you're together? Since he didn't leave you? Since he said he would always be with you and never forsake you? What is he doing right now? And what is he doing with you? And what are y'all doing together? Sherry, what are y'all doing together? Matthew, what are y'all doing together? Jason and Trina and Watson and Sandra, what are y'all doing together? What's happening? And in the midst of that fellowship, what are you creating? Because when I am with God, as God, through God, we create something. We don't have church together. We create together. And my life and the movements of my life are orchestrated by the plans of nowness that I have with my Father. My life is built through decisions of being as my Father. But when I lose sight of God, see, I could remember the Bible and still lose sight of God. And just because you remember the scriptures, if you lose sight of the presence and sight of the mind of God, You just got scriptures and reading